In the last chapter that we studied, we came across some of our qualities which we demonstrate at different times in different ways. Sometimes we are godly, sometimes we are devilish, sometimes we are good, sometimes we are bad, driven by our own gunas with which we are born. And these gunas of rajas, tamas and sattva we have accumulated over several births. And so whatever is the dominating guna, dominant mode that we are endowed with, that is what manifests in our day-to-day behavior. And so there are plenty of qualities, and Sri Krishna took extra pain to describe the demonic qualities because he has found that in plenty, and he wants us to recognize that first. See, unless we know where our faults are, how are we going to improve? When people of demonic nature, they don't find faults with themselves, they find faults with everybody else. Then Dharmaraja was told, find one bad person in the whole of the town. He went around and came back disappointed and told Sri Krishna, I could not find one bad person in the whole town. Maybe I am the only bad person that I can think of. Whereas, when Duryodhana was told, go and find one good person in the whole town, he also came back equally disappointed and he said, I couldn't find one good person in the town. The only person I can think of is me. First, they don't know what is pravritti, what is nivritti. That is the first mistake. Then they know what is pravritti and what is nivritti, yet they don't have the willpower to follow that. That's also Duryodhana's pride. Because he knew what is right. He tells Krishna, when Sri Krishna tells Duryodhana, see, do not fight a war like this, just give 5 villages and they will be happy. Pandavas won't wage a war and nobody will be destroyed, everybody can be happy. He says, don't give me lecture. I know what to do. Janami dharmam nachame pravritti, janami adharmam nachame nivritti. I know what is dharma. I don't have the capacity, willpower to do it. And I know what is adharma, what is wrong, but I just don't have the willpower to not do it. So that they are the second level of asuras. They are not just ignorant, they are arrogant. If they were ignorant, they could have been forgiven. But they are arrogant. Then they know what they are doing, yet they do the wrong things, driven by their own passions, demonic qualities. Anyway, Krishna goes on explaining all these things and tells at the end, the one who follows the Shastras, Shastra vidhi mutsrajya vartate kamakarata, who does not follow the Shastra, na sa siddhim avapnoti na sukham na param gatim. Such a person doesn't attain anything in life. He does everything wrong, and at the end of it doesn't attain sukha, that is any happiness, true happiness, nor param gatim, not the highest state of realization. It is not for those who do not follow the injunctions of the Shastras. Shastras tell us, satyam vada, dharmam chara, all these magradha kasya siddhanath, all these wonderful injunctions are there to help us lead a good life, but these people don't follow. So at the end, Arjuna is advised, tasmat shastra pramanam te karya vyavastitau gyatva shastra vidhanoktam kartumiharhasi. Karma kartumiharhasi. Listen to the words of the Shastras, understand them completely and follow them. And then you understand what is to be done, what is not to be done according to the Shastra. And then having known whatever Shastras are saying, perform your actions in the world. So this is what Sri Krishna advises. And I told, it's not just Shastras are like mothers, even if you are at fault, we make mistake, they again come and help us. Guru, they are compassionate. Because once you make a mistake, you don't follow the GPS, the poor GPS again resets itself and finds you another path to get out of the mess and find another road and go back to the original route. So this is what happens. The Shastras are like that. They're always there. That's why Shastra Pramana is the first step. Second is Tarkavada. Our scriptures, our Shastras are so daring. They are so confident about themselves. They say, come on, have an argument, have a debate if you don't agree with us. And you can question the Shastras. You can question what is written over there. And then Swanubhava. At the end, realize it by practicing and experiencing the truth for yourself. Then the truth becomes yours. Otherwise, it remains the property of the Shastras, the books, or the Guru. It does not become yours. It only becomes yours when you have followed the injunctions. So the last idea that in the last chapter we heard is, follow the Shastras. They are telling us what to do, how to do, when not to do, how not to do. All these are mentioned. Go and refer to them. And best Shastra, that Yoga Shastra we have is Bhagavad Gita itself. So Bhagavad Gita should tell us what to do, how to do, when to do, what not to do, when not to do, and things like that. This chapter is precisely about that. We are approaching the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita slowly. This is the penultimate chapter, 17th one. And then there is the 18th, which is more or less conclusion, and also a summary of all the things that has been spoken so far. So in this, the question comes to Arjuna, should come to Arjuna, okay, you are telling Shastras, but there are many who do not have access to Shastras, who do not have access to that knowledge, those injunctions. But they are good people nevertheless. They are nice people, they are kind people. What if they do good things without exactly how the Shastras have told them to do? For example, we say, give with your right hand, don't give with your left hand, for whatever reason. Somebody does not know, somebody is very hungry. If his right hand is busy, should he not give something with the left hand? If he does a charity or donation with the left hand, will Shastras disapprove of that? So all these kind of questions, it may arise in our mind. We may not know what kind of puja we have to do, what kind of things have to be offered. Suppose we do not offer it properly, we do not know it well. Will our prayers, will our efforts reach the divine? Will we benefit from it, or will it be all wasted? So Arjuna's question is quite genuine, because not many of us are very familiar and well-versed with the textbooks of spirituality or religion. But we have some good qualities and virtues which we have developed with good company. So is that okay? Is that okay if we do it well? So he uses a very beautiful word. He says, Arjuna uvacha, ye shastram vidimutrajya yajante shraddhayan vitaha. Those who may not have followed the injunctions of the Shastras to the T, yet they are those who have Shraddha. Shraddha is a very deep word, and there is no equivalent in English language. In fact, I do not think any other language other than probably very ancient cultures, there will be a complete justification of this word Shraddha in another word equivalent. So what is Shraddha? Shraddha is a very deep understanding, very deep interest and deep faith in something is Shraddha. And this is born out of great love for that thing or a person or an idea. So there is love in it, there is intense devotion to it, faith in it, conviction in it, and the willingness to uphold it, the willingness to perform it or practice it. All this is part of that Shraddha. And we have heard earlier also, Krishna said, Shraddhavan labate jnanam tatpara samyatendriyaha jnanam labdha paran shanti achirenat digacchati. He says, the one who has Shraddha will attain the knowledge. In fact, I say Shraddhavan labate sarvam. Whatever you have put your Shraddha, complete faith, devotion, intense practice of it, you will attain it. It's not necessary that if you do not have a guru, you do not have a Shastra, you do not have somebody to guide you, will you attain it? Yes, if you have Shraddha, you may still attain it. Example is Ekalavya. Ekalavya was born to a tribal family, in a tribal family, and he was not allowed a formal education in those days by Dronacharya. But he wanted to be an archer. But he could not get an admission because he was not belonging to the higher, so to say, the class of the Brahmanas or the Kshatriyas, the princes of the state. So he made a small statue of Dronacharya in his own imagination and started practicing archery. And what happened at the end? He became a better archer than even Arjuna and surprised Dronacharya, because once they were having a practical exam for Arjuna and other Pandavas and Kauravas in the forest, they had to hear the sound and shoot an arrow by listening to the Shabda Bheda, that's called. You understand the sound, direction of the sound, the distance from which the sound is coming, all these calculations you must do. And like a projectile, which is directed towards it, perfect missile. It must go and hit the target. Imagine, without all the computational skills, artificial intelligence, this is just your practice and your understanding and your skill at your job. So they shot the arrow. But even before Arjuna could put the arrow on the boat and shoot, and to find where the source was, it was a dog barking. The dog stopped barking. And when they went and saw, they saw that somebody had shot arrows in such a way that not one arrow had scratched the dog, yet it had tied up the mouth of the dog. Something like this. How did that happen? Who did it? They were very curious. And they searched for the shooter, and they found this Ekalavya fellow. And he came and he fell at the feet of Dronacharya. He said, "Who are you? How did you manage to do this? Who taught you this archery?" He said, "You are my guru, you taught me." He said, I never met you, you are the first time we are meeting." He said, "Yes, but I have accepted you as my guru, I have put your statue and prayed to you and worshipped you." Such a wonderful Shishya. And then what does Dronacharya do? He is a Drohacharya, I call him, not Dronacharya. Because he cheated his own student. See, with such devotion, Ekalavya says, but Dronacharya says, "Oh, then you must give me Guru Dakshina, because you have learned from me in some way, you have to also pay me." So he said, "Tell me what you want." He said, "I want your right thumb, because that is what is required to hold the bow and the arrow and shoot it correctly." So now you want that thumb, and that Ekalavya gives it. Otherwise, Ekalavya would have been a better archer than Arjuna. But Dronacharya had to keep his job, and he wanted the princes of the Kuru and the Pandava dynasty to be the best archers. He couldn't have allowed another person. Having said that, what is important is Shraddha. I must have Shraddha in whatever I am trying to do. And this Shraddha, as I said, it has many understanding, but Shraddhate iti Shraddha, it is said. Shraddhate means that intelligence which holds the truth. Shraddha means belief in something. Truth, belief in something is truth. And that truth that if your intellect can hold, then you have Shraddha, they say. Many people, even if you tell the truth 10 times, they will not understand, because they have no interest in learning. They have no interest in such a subject, so they don't understand. They can't hold the knowledge. So also many times we have heard Shirdi Baba say, "Shraddha Saburi, Shraddha Saburi." Shraddha is that intense faith and devotion in the Guru or God. And Saburi is the patience to wait for the Guru or God to respond in his own right time. Now you have Shraddha, but you have no Saburi, then you will be miserable yourself. So that is also Shraddha Saburi. And also Shraddha has been defined by Adi Shankaracharya as Shastrasya Guru Vakyasya Satya Buddhyavadharana Shraddha Sa Kajita Sadbhi Eya Vastu Palabhyate. In Viveka Chudamani, Adi Shankaracharya says, have complete faith in the words of the Shastras, in the words of the Guru, and Satya Buddhya means you have complete belief that what they say is true. Even if you don't understand, if you don't comprehend, yet you believe in it. So that is the idea of Shraddha. And that is the Shraddha, having attained which you can attain Vastu. Vastu is the another name for self-realization, or the ultimate truth, the Tattva. So that you can attain using Shraddha, it says. I told you last time the story of our Bidi Baba. And what did he do? He just believed his Guru's word, that you are divine, you are Brahman. And he contemplated on it and he realized that he was Brahman. So he didn't read any texts. He didn't go through scriptures. He did not follow some austerities, do's and don'ts. He simply, completely invested all his mind, thought, emotions in that one idea that I am divine because my Guru says I am divine. That's it. No, I know I have those Daivasuri, Sampada, all that stuff, but that is all besides the point. My Guru says you are divine as you are. And so he attained it. So this is the most important quality of a spiritual seeker. For that matter, any seeker, any student. If you have great Shraddha in, let's say, sports, you will become a good sportsman. In music, you will become a great musician. In any form of knowledge, you will attain that knowledge because Shraddhavan labate jnanam. So Shraddha is the basic prerequisite even before you try to embark on any path of knowledge. And Krishna says earlier also, yo yam yam tanum bhakta shraddhaya chitumicchati. Whoever wants to place their Shraddha in whichever form of God, tasya tasya achalam shraddham. I further strengthen their Shraddha in that form and name. That is how I support them. Worship Krishna only, there is no rule like that. If they like Ganesha, go ahead. However, if you worship that Ganesha with great Shraddha, in that Shraddha, you will find the support, divine support. From my side also, Krishna says. When Krishna says Aham, it doesn't mean Sri Krishna of the Mathura. He is the Krishna, the Paramatma. When he speaks like that, you have to understand that he is relating himself to the highest Supreme Lord. So this is good enough a definition for Shraddha. The very first question Arjuna asks is, many might not have read the scriptures, they might not follow the correct, instructions to the T, but they have Shraddha. What happens to them? Tesham nishtha tu ka Krishna, sattvamaho rajastamaha. What kind of nishtha, what kind of sincere faith they have? Should we call them sattva, rajas or tama? Sattva we know, pure. Raja means passion driven or desire driven. And tama means laziness, inertia, lethargy driven. They are lazy, so they didn't read the scripture. Should we call their Shraddha as tamo Shraddha? Or should we call this rājasic Shraddha because they're so in a great hurry to do things that they don't even want to read the manual. They want to start the machine right away. Should we call them Raja Shraddha? Or should we call them Sattva Shraddha that they are innocent, they are pure, they did not know how to read? So will they be eligible for your grace? This is what Krishna is being asked by Arjuna. And Krishna replies, before we get into that, let us know what are the kinds of Shraddha we have. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Trividha Bhavati Shraddha Dehinam Sa Swabhavaja Sāttvici Rājasi Chaiva Tāmasi Chedi Tam Shruno. He says such people who have Shraddha, they have Shraddha of three kinds. Sāttvici, pure feelings. Rājasi, they are driven by some desire. Therefore, they have interest in like money making or getting good marks. They are driven by certain desires. So they work very hard. They have great interest in that. Or tāmasi. Tāmasi means they have certain other kinds of instincts and impulses for which sake they work. So Shraddha itself can be of three kinds. Means Shraddha is like a knife. You can cut anything with it. It is a common virtue. Put that Shraddha in good things, you will attain good knowledge. Put it in worldly things, you will attain worldly whatever achievements. And put it in the lower kind of thinking, you will attain that. Yamatir sagatir bhavet, Ashtavakra says, whatever your buddhi, you will attain that. So put your faith in sports, practice a lot, you will be a great sportsman. And or you put it in science, you will be a scientist or a musician. So it depends on you, he says. How? Dehinam sa swabhavaja, by their own nature, they have developed different kinds of Shraddhas, all beings. What is their nature? Remember, Rajoguna, Tamoguna, Sattva-guna. All these we are bringing with ourselves from many births. So those gunas define the kind of interests we have in our life. So Shraddha is in a way here is being spoken about as deep interest or convictions. We all have convictions in life, right? Somebody says, this world alone exists, the next world does not exist. Enjoy, make merry, YOLO. But the other people say, no, this is just a transition phase. We have a long journey ahead and things like that. They have heard some scriptures or some gurus. So people have different convictions. Some people say, no, money is most important, power is important. Some people say, no, charity and compassion is important. Some people tell, why do you worry? Just eat and sleep and let's see what happens tomorrow. So their convictions are different because of their gunas. So he says, based on that, there are three kinds of Shraddha. We all have Shraddha in something or the other, because without faith, without these convictions, we cannot live. Even a husband and wife, you have to live under a roof, they have some convictions and faith about each other. You know, they have, if a teacher and student come together, they have, even if you go to a barber shop, you surrender yourself, your neck at the hands of the barber. In everybody. We don't have time to, verify every time. So we go by faith, we go by our convictions. No, we believe, oh, this cab driver has a driving license and he has not got it by paying bribes. He definitely knows how to drive, and then we take that cab and go. Or a pilot in a plane, we are not going and telling, show us all your certificates, merits and all that, whether you are worth being a pilot. We believe that company has done its due diligence or things like that. So Shraddha is a very common principle in our life, but when we place it in higher values, virtues, it becomes Sāttvici Shraddha. When you put it in lower instincts and impulses, it becomes Tāmasi Shraddha, and everything in between is Rājasi. With that, he says, Sattvanurupa sarvasya Shraddha bhavati bharata Shraddha mayoyam purusho yo yachratta sa eva saha. He says, whatever Shraddha people have, that is what they are. You are defined by the kind of Shraddha that you have. The kind of interests and convictions in your life you have, that is your very definition, that is your very existence. Some people have belief in charity, they are charitable by nature. Some people have belief in power and position, they are politicians. That's kind of people who want power and authority in nature. Some people who believe in nothing, they just want to laze around, fool around. They are lazy people by nature. So their Shraddhas are the definition of their personality. So Shraddha is your personality. So those who have Shraddha, they are defined by their own Shraddhas. In the sense, that is the kind of person you are. Good, bad, ugly. And their Sattvanurupa sarvasya, their very existence is dependent on the kind of Shraddha that they carry. Because that is the beginning of all that they do in life. That is why Shraddha is the very source of everything. He says, Yajante Sātvika Devan Yaksha Rakshansi Rajasaha Pretan Bhuta Ganashchanye Yajante Tamasa Janaha. Fourth shloka says, so based on our Shraddha, what do we do? Naturally, we will try to make such associations with such people who also have similar Shraddhas, birds of the same feather. So those people who have Sātviki Shraddha, Sātviki means pure emotions, pure intentions, compassion, kindness, divine qualities. What do? They yajante devan. They worship devan. Devas means gods. Gods in the sense God-like people. They only want the company of God-like people. They make efforts to be in their company, to learn from them, to gain knowledge and wisdom from them, to get inspired by their good qualities. So they always find them and they adore them. Then what about Rajasi people who are always very passionate and they have desires to fulfill? They're ambitious. Yaksha Rakshansi Rajasa. They worship Yakshas. Yakshas are one category of beings. We have a lot of types of beings, Devas, Yakshas, Rakshasas, and things like that. So Yakshas are very wealthy beings. There's a Kubera is Yaksha. And Kubera is the wealthiest of all. He is the cousin of Ravana. But he has all the wealth. In fact, Lanka was built by Kubera, the golden city. And even that private jet, that, what is that Vimana? Pushpak Vimana, was Kubera's personal private jet. But this Ravana, being what he was, Rakshasi, so he went and stole it from Kubera. These people like that. I want it, I take it, that's it. There's no rules, regulations, nothing works there. Simply seize it, steal it, snatch it. These are the kind of rājasic people there. So what did he do? They worship these yakshas because yakshas are wealthy people. Today's business tycoons, you can think of them as yakshas who are only worried about their money. Or rakshansi rajasha. Rakshasas also they worship. What are the rakshasas like this? Snatch it, take it. You deserve it. You need it, you deserve it. Don't care about what the rules are, what the laws are. They don't care. Last time in Anyayena, they use illegal, corrupt routes also, dhanasanchaya, to artha sanchayan, for the sake of what they want, to collect that, to get that. They take to all the illegal routes. I want to come first in the class. I am ready to cheat. I am ready to bribe. Or I want to become the elected ruler or the leader, ready to corrupt anybody, anything. So these are the kind of people who do, like Ravana. He himself went around stealing things. Even when he saw his sister came and told, very beautiful lady is there in the forest by name Sita, he went and stole her also. So he doesn't care what are the rules, what are the scriptural injunctions, what is to be done, what is not to be done, doesn't care. Simply goes. And he also worships his hero, worshipping, if he does, whom will he worship? He'll worship somebody who is more cruel than him. Hitler kind of, their ideals are those. So they cannot worship good people. They only are interested in the company of bad people. And third ones are even dangerous. Preta bhuta ganas chahiye. These pretas means those who have died and disembodied souls will be there. No ghosts we call them. Those bhutaganan or various different types of other lower beings are there. We may not know it, but they exist. Those who have lost their way, they died in a tragic death with lot of desires and lot of cruel ideas. They don't get another birth soon. They keep roaming around as disembodied souls. So these people invoke and pray to such beings. Why? Because they want to use it for their own advantage for certain things. These tantrics, mantravadis are there. They invoke ghosts and goblins and try to use their power by enticing them with some favors. They try to use them and get their thing done. Voodoo and all we have heard about. So this is at those times. But even in a modern parlance, how do you know? These are the people who are criminal-minded. They only are in the companies of criminal and such people who can harm others. So their joy is in harming and troubling others. And for that sake, they do anything, including engaging a shooter or a supari killer. Such kind of people are okay for them because they want to somehow get rid of somebody. Lawfully, they can't do it. Personally, they don't have the strength to do it. And they find ways to do it by illegal means because they love those kinds of ideas. So many, you tell me these people are there, who are brainwashed into religious wars and things like that. They're ready to shoot their own mother and father because they love the company of those people more than the company of their own mother or father. They're driven by their own passions. And they worship means they adore. In fact, if these people are those, even if a good person comes in them, they'll only find those qualities which they are attracted by. Like Duryodhana. They will only see the bad side of it. They will remember Duryodhana and Arjuna both went to Krishna in the beginning of the war. And Duryodhana has the cheek to ask Krishna for help after having humiliated and insulted him in his court. When Krishna had come as the messenger of peace, he had tried to bind him and kind of jail him. Yet he had the cheek to go and ask Krishna for help before the war. So Krishna pretended to be asleep. Then what happened? Came our Duryodhana, and he, being Duryodhana, he wants to be at the right place. So he went and sat next to Krishna's head. And there Arjuna came, and Arjuna was sitting at Krishna's feet. Because that's the rightful place. This also shows where we want to sit. We want to sit on God's head or at God's feet, the kind of devotees we are. So this Duryodhana was sitting there, and Krishna pretended that he's asleep. He knew what's going on, and slowly opened his eyes and turned the other side and saw Arjuna first. And Duryodhana was, shocked. He said, no, it can't be. And he said, hey Arjuna, where did you come? Then Duryodhana, I'm also here, like that. And Krishna, oh Duryodhana, when did you come? The Natana Sutradhari. Then he says, we have come to seek help for you, for the war. He says, that's okay, but I saw Arjuna first, so let me ask Arjuna, what does he want? Duryodhana is like very scared. What if Arjuna asks all the power and army and everything? And Arjuna said, Krishna, we just want you to be by our side. But he said, but I have decided not to lift a weapon. And either you can take me, who is totally unarmed, or you can take all my army. So Arjuna says, I want you. Duryodhana thinks, what a fool this Arjuna is. He should, and also thanks his fortune. Thank God Arjuna did not ask for the army. And he says immediately, says, okay, if Arjuna wants you, then I'll take the army, whatever is left. In the heart of heart is so happy, because so foolishly he has chosen. Apramatte, apramada. These are people who are full of dangerous thoughts, foolish thoughts. So what did he? Pramada. He took a wrong decision. So, and he chose the army, and you know what the result was. Why? Because Duryodhana is a rājasic fellow. And what does he want? Rājasic things. So even if Sri Krishna comes in front of him, what is he going to ask Sri Krishna for? Rājasic things. He can see only the army of Krishna. He can't see the sāttvic nature of the divinity of Krishna. Whereas Arjuna saw this. So even when we go to God, this arti, artharti, jignasu, jnani, and we know all that. We go and ask gods according to our own shraddhas and interest. We tell we have faith in God. No, we have faith in what we believe in, and we believe that we can ask that from God. So that is why God is happy with those who don't ask anything, like Prahlada. They ask only God for, if at all something I must ask you for one boon, that I should not ask anything from you. They are the dearest devotees of God. Whereas all others will come for asking different things based on their shraddha. Now, even if God comes to it, they will think of him as a yaksha, rakshasa, what power I can gain, what money I can ask for. So, because their mentality is like that pussycat story, London Queen. So, this is the idea of these people. They worship only those whom they adore, whose qualities they are attracted by. Then Krishna says, Ashastra vihitam ghoram tapyante ye tapo janaha dambha hankara sanyuktaha kamaraga balanvitaha. These kind of people, the lower kind of beings, what they do? Ashastra vihitam. Without understanding the injunctions of the Shastras, not even taking interest in knowing what it is, and even if somebody is taking interest to teach you, you are not there to listen to them. These are Shastra Vihitam, Ghoram Tapyante. They do all kinds of austerities to gain favors from Rakshasas, Yakshas, or Preta Bhuta Ganas and all that. And what they do? Tapojana, they do austerities, they do all kinds of hard work. But it is full of or driven by Dambha, Ahankara Sanyukta. It is consisting of Dambha, some kind of a pride or showiness, and Ahankara, ego. For that sake they do. And Kamaraga Balanvita, and they are as if forced or controlled, or they get energized to do this tapas or whatever hard work. Tapas means not hanging upside down on the tree or going to a cave. Tapas means whatever effort you are putting to gain whatever you want. So what is the reason they put so much of effort? Kama raga balanvita. They get energy from kama, desires, and raga, attachments. So if they want something, they will put any amount of effort to get it. Who gets it destroyed? Is it legal, illegal, allowed, not allowed? None of their concern. They are driven by passion, desires, and ego, and for the sake of exhibitionism and arrogance, pride, they do everything. And they derive so much of energy from that. That's why when I see some people working so hard to make money madly, to go to any extent to make money, I feel, where do they get all this energy to do all this? The gundas are there, crooks are there, criminals are there. Where do they get the brains and the energy? Hackers are there, modern time criminals and terrorists. How much intelligence? They're always a step ahead of police, cyber police. They find new ways of hacking systems. How do they manage that? Why? Because they're intelligent people. They're capable people. But look at their Shraddha. It's so misplaced that they're using all their intelligence and everything for such stupid things. That is the idea. They're driven by desires and they do any kind of effort. They'll stay awake nights after nights to hack some bank system and, transfer data or steal money. They do anything. They can work harder than sāttvic people to attain their goals because they're driven so badly by the passions and desires. Karshayanta sharirastham bhutagrama chetasaha. They work so hard, they torture their bodies. And bhutagrama chetasaha, all the indriyas, all the abilities of the bodies, they torture them, misuse them. And mam chaivanta sharirastham, and I who resides in them. We know by now who resides in us. The consciousness, the divine force, Sri Krishna as the Brahman resides in us. They torture him also, he says. Why he is feeling tortured? Because he feels such a misuse of the divine powers, such a misuse of the intelligence and the abilities to do wrong things. Tan vidhaya asura nishchayan. These are the demonic people for sure. Which are the demonic people? They don't want to read the scripture, they don't want to read the law. Even if somebody tells them they're not interested in it, and then yet they work so hard to achieve what they achieve, because this achievement is for the sake of fulfilling their desires only, their ambitions. And what they gain out of it? Lot more ego, lot more show and exhibitionism and pride. So these are the things that drive them to do. And they karshayanta, they work very hard. They work harder than good people at times. Because they're so driven by passion, they can't sleep unless they made that money or kill that fellow or attain that, achieve that new ambition. They cannot sleep. Day and night they work like mad people, they slog. But they're driven by the wrong reason. And they torture themselves, they torture everybody around them, and they torture the divine also who is within. Because divine does not want you to do that, but you want to do that. So divine feels unhappy. So this is what... That's why I'm not for this kind of unnecessary ritualistic. I like rituals to the extent that it helps you to keep your focus and calm down. And when bell rings, your mind gets tuned back to the prayers or chanting of mantras or some bit of shuddhi and pujas, collect some ingredients for rituals. It helps you kind of align or warm up to a greater idea. That extent is okay. Otherwise, I tell upavasa means upavasa. Come close to God. Stay close to God in your mind. That is upavasa. Not going hungry, not starving. Not necessary. Why torture your body? It's a different matter. You want to fast because you are not well or you have to eat less or whatever. It's a different matter. But why torture in the name of God? So these are the people who get all these things. Krishna himself says in other Vibhuti Yoga, Balam Balvatam Asmi Kamaraga Vivarjita. I am also the strength of the strong people. But that strength which is free of kama, desires, and raga attachments. So strength is a good thing. But these people use the strength for wrong reason. They're driven by desires. Now Krishna says, so how do we proceed on this path? What is the step-by-step method? And he describes four simple ways. And we have to be mindful on a daily basis about these four things. And first one is very simple. He says, Aharastu api sarvasya trivido bhavati priyaha. Food that we eat are of three kinds. Let's begin there, changing our food habits. We want to walk on the spiritual path. We want to come out of the Asuri Sampada and attain Daivi Sampada. Let's begin where? Where should I start? Start with your food, he says. But what is food? Not only that which goes into the mouth. What we see, hear, taste, smell, touch, everything is consumption. All that is input. Whatever goes into input only will come out as the output, right? So, whatever we see, that is what becomes our thoughts. Those thoughts become our words. Words become our actions. Actions become reactions. That becomes tendency, habit, character, destiny, whatever. So that is how we become what we see, what we eat. When they say, Jaisa anna vaisa man, what you eat, that is how your mind will be. It's not only about the physical food that we eat to satiate our hunger or please our taste buds, but it is everything that we consume through all our senses. So everything is food, so you have to be careful about what's going inside us. That is the three kinds of those, he says. And what else is of three kinds? Yajñas tapas tatha danam tesham vedam imam shrunu. Also, the other three things he wants to talk about is yajña. Yajña means sacrifice and an offering that we make in our lives to gods or to greater beings. Tapaha, the kind of austerities we perform, the activities we undertake. Tatha danam, and the charity we do. So four things he is going to describe to us in detail now. One, food habits. Two, food means everything else that we consume, our consumption habits, I would say. Two, Yajna, the kind of sacrifices we must perform as a part of our life. 3, tapa, the austerities that we must undertake. And 4th, dhanam, charity that we must do. Very strange, he talks about these 4 things only. So what is ahara? Ahara, as I said, we all know what is ahara. Whatever we eat from all our various organs or senses. And what is, but here physically he is talking about the food habits, physical food habits. And he says, ayu sattva balarogyam sukha priti vivardhanaha rasyaha snigdhaha sthirah hyadya ahara sāttvica priyaha. Sāttvic people, noble, kind, compassionate, divine people, what kind of food they like? It describes. That food which gives ayu, which increases your lifespan. Naturally, it's the food that is good for your, healthy for your body only will increase your lifespan. If you eat food that is not healthy, you will fall sick and you will naturally die early. So that which increases your age or lifespan, sattva, it provides right kind of nutrition, balanced nutrition. Bala, it gives you strength. After eating the food, you don't feel weak or you don't feel tired, you feel energized after eating the food. Arogya, it gives you health, it makes you healthier. Sukha, it gives you joy after eating, you feel light and joyful. Priti, it makes you happy and develops love in you, develops kindness and love in you. Vivardhana, it all increases these things. These are the things. So, ayu, sattva, bala, arogya, sukha, priti. These are the things that it should increase in you after you finish your eating your food. And what kind of food these are? Rasyaha, juicy things like fruits, they have a lot of juice. Snigdhaha, things with some bit of fat like milk, curd, butter and stuff like that. Sthira, these which are balanced, which are very steady or enduring. After eating you don't feel hungry at once. So it helps you to endure your hunger and also endure, body is able to endure the food, not get affected. Here, hridyaha. Hridya means it gives joy to your heart. You don't feel heartburns, It gives you joy in the heart. And these are aharas. These are the kind of food, sāttvica priyaha. Those who are good people, they like this food. So these are the things that we should eat which are good. I will detail it further later. Let us see what rājasic people like it. What the passion, people driven by passion and desires. These are the people who are pure and kind. So you can think of their food is also of that kind. Katu. Katu means bitter. Amla means sour. Lavana, salty. Then ati ushna, that which creates heat in you. Or very spicy, you can think like that, very hot. Tikshna, very pungent or sharp in its tastes. Ruksha, dry, without any rasa in it, without any juice in it. Vidahinaha, that which creates burning in you, burning sensation, because of heat, acidity. Then these are the ahara, rajasyeshta, dukkha shoka, amaya pradaha. The rājasic people like these kind of foods. What kind of foods? Very bitter, very sour, salty, very hot, pungent or very sharp tastes, dry, the burning sensation, acidity it creates. And these are the things they like. And what does this kind of food give you? Dukkha, it gives sadness to you. Then shoka, dukkha means sorrow, shoka means sadness or some kind of uneasiness. And amaya pradaha, he says that diseases, it brings diseases to you if you eat these kind of foods. So all those who are very interested in very spicy, very salty, fried, and dry. Dry means all the junk food is all dry food, chips and things like that. So all this is bad food according. Bad means it is the second level of bad food. There is one more level below this. But this is the food that harms you. Why it creates the shoka in you? Because after eating you are uneasy, you are restless. Then you have to take more medicines to help you digest or assimilate this food. And dukkha, you are sad because you eaten a bad food, and all around you also people are sad. That creates that kind of heartburns, and unfortunately, diseases also come. That's why many our scriptures if you go by the pure food which is cooked during festivals and pujas, what is offered to God, it was not having too much salt. It was not having many of the other ingredients which are considered tāmasic. It won't have very spicy or fried snacks. Generally, it is made boiled or something that is not stored for a long time, very freshly cooked. So we don't offer God, stale food from refrigerator. We offer fresh food because those that are sāttvic foods. Because juice will there. Otherwise, juice will disappear after if you store for too long. And third one, we know all. Third one is yatayamam gatarasam puti paryushtam chach yat uchishtam api chamedyam bhojanam tāmasa. Now, rājasic people, we know they like all these things. What about tāmasic people? What kind of food they like? Yatayamam. One yamam means a 3-hour period. That food which has been cooked 3 hours before, that is yatayamam. That kind of food which is stale now. Why we generally recommend food to be eaten within 3 hours? Because the bacterial growth, especially in food like rice and other things, very fast. So the surface area is more. So when bacteria are in limited proportions, the food is healthy. But when it grows beyond a certain numbers, it harms us. Therefore, food should not be stored for too long. Then you'll say, but we have refrigerators. No, in refrigerator, bacteria can't grow. In cool and no, it is there in potent form, bacteria. It may not have multiplied. You put it out, within seconds it will multiply, because what you call as a ratio of this bacteria multiplication is very fast for them. We have held them in refrigerators, but the moment you bring out, they are even faster. And so within few minutes, they will start multiplying very fast. So they harm our stomach. What else? Gatarasam, the one which has become without any rasa, without any taste, because it's been stored or fried or cooked or reheated or things too many times, it has lost its real taste. So that is also not good. Puti, that which smells, stinks, not smells, but stinks. Bad smell, foul smell is coming from them. Paryushita, which is decaying, which is already rotting, which is going bad. Then uchishtamapi, that which has been eaten before and again you are going to eat. In the sense, sometimes we eat and we leave and then come back and want to continue eating like this. So that is uchishtam, that kind of food. Cha amedyam. Amedyam means that food which should not be touched, or it has become so bad, which cannot be offered to anybody, including God. So you cannot offer, so therefore you should not. But many people are there. We don't want to give it to our guests, but we will eat it. Why? Because it's who wastes this food? So that kind of thing. Or those people who keep reinventing the same, the mau will be there, dosa batter will be there. First day, that batter will be dosa. Next day, it will be idli. Third day, uttapam. Fourth day, adai. Fifth day, something else. Same batter. It's Janmani. Keeps changing forms, but keep storing. Daily they don't want to soak. Daily they don't want to grind. Oh, that's a headache. So what they do, they store once and keep using that batter for 3-4 days. Or worst, buy it from the preservative markets, which has so much of preservatives in it. That these are all artificial way of keeping the food. This is not how our scriptures say. So tāmasic people only use this kind of food. Naturally, tamas means laziness. Every day if you have to soak and grind and cook fresh, it requires effort only, no? So all those who store things in refrigerator, when we started our nutrition program, in fact, the first building that was built in ashram was our kitchen, Annapurna kitchen. Way back in 2012 itself, it was built. And everybody thought, why we need a big kitchen? They did not know that so many more people are going to join us and we'll have to cook for all of them. So new kitchen was made. And the first rule was made, no stale food to be given to the students. If the rice is more by the night, send it to Goshalas, distribute it, donate it. No cooking and reheating and kind of modifying it for the morning food. Don't allow that, it's not good. That's the first rule I made. That don't cook more than what children eat, don't waste it, and don't please reheat it or reserve it again. It's not good. It's not good for anybody. So our cooks have to work really hard to give you sāttvic food. But the scriptures say that it's not good to eat something that has been stored for too long or cooked at least 3 hours before, or that which has already started smelling and decaying, and we hide food and eat, and this is not a good thing. So everything that needs to stay long needs preservative, some kind, either too much salt or spice or sugar, something to preserve it. Otherwise it won't stay long. If you remove all these ingredients, all your rājasic ingredients disappear, the food will only last 3 hours. Beyond that, everything requires preservation of some kind. And new food market which sells preservated food in tins and cans, they are the worst. And that is what is causing all the lifestyle diseases like cancer and things like that. I met somebody in Malaysia, he's a big scientist in food nutrition. And he asked me what could be the reason of spread of cancer. I told reheating of the oil is the reason. He immediately said, you're right, research proves that. Reheating of any fats, saturated or unsaturated, it causes this, especially with the vegetable oils and things like that, which are not natural fats also. They're even worse. So don't do this. That's what they say. So once you heat the oil, what to do with the rest of the oil? Because the vada will take away so much of oil. And then the remaining oil, if you heat it again, you're making it worse, sir. In fact, every time you heat the food, the nutritional value is going down. So you have to cook, eat fresh, and then leave. In our old times, people would cook their food immediately. They'll sit by the kitchen side, finish their food, and go. And next time they'll come back, only then food will be cooked fresh and served. Think of the hotel culture, restaurant cultures, and worst is the canteen culture. It is ruining the society because one, it is tāmasic. It creates more laziness in us. And the kind of thoughts, we have three things: paka shuddhi, patra shuddhi, and padartha shuddhi. Paka shuddhi means the food, very process of cooking itself should be pure. Padartha shuddhi, the ingredients that we have acquired, should have been acquired by righteous means. And patra shuddhi, the vessels in which we cook also should be clean and pure. It seems one sage went to eat in somebody's house, and after eating he was served in silver vessels. He felt like stealing the spoon and the katori, the cup, and he silently put it in his bag and he left. After some way, when he went, the food had got digested, then he realized that why did he steal? He shouldn't have done such a terrible thing. Why did he do so? He was very remorseful, and he went back to the house and said to the person who had served, "I'm very sorry, I stole some cup and silver cutlery from here. And I do not know why did I do, but can you tell me who cooked the food? Did your wife cook the food today?" Then they found that the wife did not cook the food. Another neighbor had cooked the food because wife was not keeping well. And this neighbor who was kleptomaniac, she used to keep stealing things. Some people are there, they don't need it, but they still steal it, pocket it like that. That is their habit. So she had that habit of stealing things from people's homes. And because she cooked the food with the same idea that, oh, such nice vessels, maybe I can steal a few by the end of the day. And this thought went into the food, and from the food it went into the head of this sage. And he also started stealing. And now you think you go and eat in a restaurant or a hotel outside, cooked by somebody who might have just fought with somebody, or had some other terrible thought, or watched some terrible thing, or had an argument or fight. And that person cooks all the emotions through food you come, because every energy is matter and matter is energy. That's why I tell, pray before cooking. To the cooks, we tell them, you have to pray, you have to have a bhajan every morning before you start the kitchen. After that, clean everything first in the morning. Keep vessels clean, place clean. And all the vegetables that we acquire also, see, righteous means. Righteous means goes all the way till organic and farming. So we changed everything. Most of our ingredients has been changed into organic ingredients which are grown without using pesticides and other chemicals. Why? Because they are harming the soil, the bacteria in the soil, the environment. So we are trying to be as less damaging to the environment as possible. But some children complain, this red rice is terrible to eat, we don't like it. So I said, yes, but that is good for your health. That is sāttvic food. If you polish it and things like that using all kinds of chemicals, it looks nice, smells nice, but it is not nice. It is not good for you. So idea is that we try to remain as sāttvic as possible. Sometimes once in a while you eat a little fried thing is okay. But as Krishna says, yukta ahara viharasya, yukta cheshtasya karmasu, yukta swapnavabodhasya yogo bhavati dukkha. What is yoga? Moderation is yoga. Sometimes eat a little pizza, sometimes eat a little ice cream, that's okay. Every day wanting to eat the same thing is not okay. That's not good. Also, how you cook, clean, keep things, the cook's attitude, the cleaner's attitude, the people who have bought the vegetables or the food ingredients, their attitude, all that becomes a part of you sooner or later. So much importance just given to food. So worst case, I tell you, even if you don't have other controls, at least do Brahmarpanam, pray properly. That whatever food has been offered, I offer it to you, Shiva. Because Shiva took poison and held in his throat and gave us amrutam. So if there is anything poisonous, anything dangerous, anything not good, let that Shiva take it, purify it, and give us back prasadam. So that way at least we will save ourselves the trouble of consuming unwanted, unnecessary, unspiritual things. And this applies to your eyes, ears, nose, everything. The social media is the biggest consumption nowadays. And the way the algorithms have been designed to make you consume more and more and more, you don't even realize that you are playing a puppet in their hands. They exactly know what you would like to see. And they exactly send the next one to you, next video, next whatever article, next input. They exactly know what they're doing with you. We are all being manipulated by these media companies because they thrive on this. all that is consumption. So be careful in what you're consuming, because this tāmasic consumption can make you tāmasic Shraddha, and that will lead you to worship tāmasic people, and that is how your whole life will become tāmasic, and you'll be born in lower and lower worlds and wombs. Aphala Kanksha Abhir. So what are the good kind of people that now we have learnt about? Only food. The other thing that next he is going to be teaching us about yajna. Yajna means all the actions that we perform as an offering is yajna. So we offer the action to somebody. Either we offer it to ourselves, we are selfish, or offer it for the company that we work for, or offer it to God if you are spiritual, something like that. So apala kanksha abhir yajnyo vididishto yajyate. The one who does things, yajnas, for no desire for results, aphala. He does it well but does not expect any return or result out of it. Such a person also does it vididishto, correctly as per the instructions he does not do his own thing or her own thing. Such a person, yashtavyam ameveti. Why he does? Because it is his duty to do it. He doesn't do because he is doing a favor to somebody, or he is trying to show off or things like that. He says, this is what I am supposed to do. Like a river flows for the sake of flowing. It doesn't care who spits or who bathes or who worships it. So likewise, their nature is like that. They do it for the sake of doing. Mana samadhaya cha sātvika, with mind completely engaged, absorbed and steady. They are not affected by what they are doing, good, bad, results. They are not worried about the results, so they are not anxious. So they are the right kind of people. This type of yajna done for the sake of doing and not for the sake of results is the best yajna, sāttvic yajna. Yajna generally in those days was about rituals that we used to perform, Daiva yajna, Bhuta yajna is there, Pitra yajnas are there. So different types of yajnas, but largely you can think of yajna as the activities that you undertake in life. Like when you go to a hospital and you serve as a doctor, that is your yajna for the day. Your ahuti is your service into the fire pit of the hospital, where patients are the recipients of the work, or as a teacher, your students are the recipients of your work. So salary may come, name may come, position may come, but that is a byproduct of the naivedya, the offering that you have made. We will get prasadam after it. So with that attitude they perform. They don't do it because they've been forced to do it, they want to show it off, or they are so skilled and so talented that is how they want to let people know. They do it because it is what is supposed to be done. Some people ask me, why do you work like this? Why do you do this thing? I said, this is what I'm supposed to do. You're asking a river, why do you keep flowing? Take some rest, you will get tired. What will river answer? If you ask the sun, why do you keep burning every day, glowing every day? Take a Sunday holiday. It doesn't work. This is their nature. By nature, they do good things. So they are the sāttvic yajnas. Next is Abhisandhaya tu phalam dambharthamapi chaivayat ijjate bharata shreshtam tam yajnam vidhi rājasam. Rājasic people are the people who do, naturally you can easily guess, they have a desire for the results in mind. If they don't get the result that they have desired for, imagine their plight and the plight of others around them. They'll be miserable and they make everybody miserable. They didn't get the recognition, they didn't get the appreciation, they didn't get the results as they desired. Therefore, they'll be absolutely unhappy. And also if they do it and they get the results as they desired, dambha, they become arrogant, they show pride and ego. So these are the people. And these kind of people are doing all the actions for the sake of show, exhibitionism, self-aggrandizement. So therefore these are rājasi people. This yajna is also rājasi, he says. And we go and do a lot of yajnas people do. Even to gods, they go to temples and offer things. But why? What they do, they are all people who are seeking something in return. Otherwise they do not do. When we do yajnas here, Navaratri, Homas and all that, what is our purpose? Priests may say whatever purpose. What is our real purpose? For everyone's welfare. Loka Kalyana. Loka Sangraha. Otherwise there is no other purpose. It's not to make 10th class students get better marks in board exams or nothing. That will happen if everybody is happy, everybody is healthy and successful, you are a part of it. So this kind of idea is sāttvic, whereas rājasic people have an agenda behind everything they do. Without agenda, they don't do anything. So when rājasic people come and they offer you anything nicely and trying to be nice and kind to you, be careful. There is a hidden agenda behind. Sometimes people think I am very rājasic. When we do give things free, people think there is an ulterior motive. Something will be there. How can they give free? So they come and investigate, and after digging and digging and digging, they find nothing other than love and compassion. Then they are transformed. They say, this kind of work nobody does in the world. This yajna that we do as educational institutions, nutrition, healthcare, or spiritual activities, without agenda, without any ulterior motive, without any eye on the result, very few people, viralohi mahashya, very few people in the world you will find like this. And the third kind of yajna, vidhihinam asrishtannam, without any proper instructions. They do as they please. If the priest says, I need 5 kind of fruits, I manage with 2. I need 6 kinds of flowers, manage with 2. Like, they don't care about the rituals. They're very arrogant. They think they know better than all the things. Asrishtannam. After that, they don't even offer prasadam or naivedyam in the food. That's how it is said. There are such people, he says, it's not necessary. Let's manage with this, whatever we have. So they don't care about the way of it. Don't only think from the ritual point of view. Think from your job point of view or the work that you do. They don't do proper work. Whatever instructions are there, they don't follow the instructions. They do their own thing. And they cause so much of damage. Plus, they're arrogant. Nobody can even tell them. Go and advise them. And they're like Ravana, they'll set your tail on fire. So check your tail before you go to such people. Because they're so arrogant, they won't listen to you. And this is not just about doing rituals, even working in hospitals, school, colleges, offices, anywhere. If you have this attitude, you are doing your yajna in a tamasic way. Asrishtannam, they don't do dakshina also. Mantrahinam adakshinam, they don't do dakshina. They don't give dakshina. It means what? Suppose I am a businessman, owner of a business, I have employees. I don't pay them salaries. I don't give them their due. That is dakshina in a work. Of course, the proper meaning here is when you do a ritual, you perform, after you have to give dakshina to priests and everybody. They don't do all these things. And then what they do? Mantrahinam, they don't understand, they don't care about what mantras are being chanted. Means they don't follow any rules and regulations. They do their own thing. And the adakshinam can also mean in our parlances, they steal the credit of others. They don't acknowledge others' efforts. They always want to be on top and they only want to be seen. They don't even care about their team members. All these attitude is a tāmasic yajna attitude. Then Shraddha Virihitam Yajnam. They don't have any love for what they're doing. They're doing it for their arrogance or even to harm somebody. Not out of love. They don't trust anybody. Even if the people in their team, they won't trust. They'll question them, they'll doubt them, they'll always be suspicious of the motives of others. Because they don't trust anybody, these people. Why? They are not trustworthy, so how can they trust others? A thief will always think everybody is a thief over here. So that is the idea, Duryodhana type. Yajnam tamasam parichakshya. These are the kind of tamasic yajna that we have to think of. Now is coming to tapa. Ahara is over, yajna is over, now tapa. Deva dvij guru prajna pujanam shauchamarjavam. Brahmacharya ahimsa cha shariram tapa uchyate. 3 types of tapa he talks about. One is the tapa in the body. Whatever austerities we perform, through the body only we perform. Sharira madhyam kalu dharma sadha. So deva, what is this? Deva dvija guru prajna pujanam. Worshipping whom? Devatas. Good people, noble people in the society. Worshipping means following their ideals, practicing what they are teaching. Then dvija. Dvija means those who are twice born. In our scriptures, once you go through a certain samskara, like vidya samskaras and all, you are considered as born again. Because we are all born animals only. Ahara nidra bhayamaitunam cha. Samanya tatta shubhinaranam. Same habits as animals. But once we get education, we are refined, we are cultured. That is called as dvija, you are born again. And then guru, people who have the capability of removing your darkness, who have the capacity to show you the path. Those are gurus. Then prajna, wise people. And wise people are there. You want to worship them, listen to them, take advice from them, understand what they are telling you. In your arrogance, you don't refuse them. So these 4 people you worship. And shaucham, cleanliness, inside, outside, you know, I have told a lot about it. Arjavam, straightforwardness, no hypocrisy, no crookedness. So integrity of thought, word and action. Then brahmacharyam, they always abstain from doing wrong things through their senses. Why? Because their mind is absorbed in God, brahmacharya. They don't harm or they don't overindulge in any of the sense pleasures. Ahimsa, they are non-violent naturally because they know everywhere God resides. Whomever you harm God. These are the ways with which we do tapa, austerities through the body. Shariram tapa uchyate, he says. Deva, dvija, guru, prajna, pujanam. Worshipping the divine people. Dvija means those who are twice born. It means those who are educated and cultured. Guru, those who are realized beings. Prajnah, those who are wise people. Shaucham, cleanliness. Arjavam, straightforwardness. Brahmacharya, non-indulgence. Ahimsa, non-violence. These are the qualities which you must practice through your body. This is your Sharira Tapa. Not the Tapa that you sit in Padmasana or hang upside down or stand on one leg, Trikona, what you call the Vrikshasana and things like that. Those are not the right way. We think that is the way body can be used to do austerities. But these people say, no, something else. Follow the example of the wise, noble. Our scriptures say, Janmanam Jayate Shudra. We are all born Shudras only. Shudra means not a caste. Shudra means a mentality. Mentality of laziness, inertia, says impulsive nature, instincts. This is Shudra. Janmana Jayate Shudra. Samskara Dvija Uchyate. When we get cultured, we are called Dvija. We are born again. Reborn. Then, Vedodhyayi Bhavet Vipraha. When you studied Vedas, Vedas means all the good scriptures and knowledge, then you called Vipraha, wise person. And then Brahma Janati iti Brahmana. That who is Brahmana? Who knows Brahman alone is Brahmana. By being born and putting a sacred thread, you don't become Brahmana. You become Brahmana when you know Brahman. This is how it's been described. So when you find these kind of people, you have to worship them, means follow their example. Next he says, what is the next type of tapa? Tongue, vak, by speech. Anudvegakaram vakyam satyam priyahitam chayat swadhyayabhyasanam chaiva vangmaya tapa uchyate. Anudvegakaram vakyam. Speak in a way that it does not agitate you or does not agitate anybody else around you. Don't disturb anybody's peace by your type of words that you choose, the tone of your voice, the kind of speech that you engage in, conversations. It shouldn't disturb the peace and agitate others. That is the tapa of the tongue. Very important. Then satyam. You should always speak truth, never lie. Then what kind of the priyam? Speak in a pleasant and a nice way. Hitam, that which is good for all. If it's not good for everybody, why go and gossip? Why go and spread a rumor which is not fair, which is not right, without verification, without anything? Is it adding any value? Is it helping anybody? No, then shut up. That may be a better seva than going and opening your mouth. So priya hitam chayat. Swadhyaya abhyasanam cheva. So what else we can use this tongue for? Swadhyaya. Vedas, when we have to study, we have to repeat loudly. Use the tongue for that, or your singing practice, or as a teaching or learning practice. Use for some right thing. Abhyasanam for other practices. Vangmayam tapa uchyate. This is the tapa of the speech. So don't speak lies, don't speak unpleasant things, don't speak things which are not helpful to anybody. Don't speak in a way that will agitate and trouble others. Rather keep quiet. Maunam is better. Swadhyaya. Practice, use your tongue to practice by repeating chants or verses. And abhyasanam for practicing other kind of things, use this tongue. See, tongue has been, or speech has been given only to human beings. Other beings like animals and trees cannot speak. They can communicate, but they can't speak like us in words. So it's so important that we have some kind of a control over our tongue, especially when it comes to speech. Other control in ahara, he's already explained that you have to control your tongue. Then he says, Manaprasadaha saumyatyam maunam atma vinigraha. Body is done. Speech is done. What is the third kind of tapas? He says mind. Tapas of the mind. What is the austerities of the mind? Manaprasadaha. Keeping the mind always pleasant and happy. No, you don't do things which will make your mind sad. I'm not talking about pleasures. Mind may feel pleasurable even by torturing somebody. Tāmasic people will feel great joy. Pleasantness in the mind. They have a pleasant demeanor. Then saumyatvam, softness, gentleness in your mind. No cruel thoughts, no harsh thoughts. Then Maunam Atma Vigraha, Maunam, silence in the mind. Generally, Maunam means we think it's about to the speech. And one may think it's wrongly classified in this shloka. You should have gone to this shloka, the previous shloka, where we talk about our tongue or speech. No, Krishna is very right. He's placed Maunam in the mind's austerity. Because we can shut our mouth like in classroom. Fingers on your mouth, everybody is quiet. But mind is running. It's like a torture to keep quiet because mind is at great unrest. So they are not really following Maunam. Plus some people follow this Vak Maunam and they are terrible. They torture everybody. Full time that sign language, writing in handwriting, can't read what is written. Rather speak sparingly, speak a few times, speak the truth and then keep quiet again. So whenever you open your mouth, calculate before. What I am going to speak, is it going to be helpful? Is it going to be real? Truth. So I tell this has to pass through 3 gates. 1, is it true or is it just unverified rumor? So don't speak. 2nd, is it going to help anybody or is it going to harm? 3rd, is it even necessary? Even if it's helping anybody, is it necessary? Not necessary, then keep quiet. So keeping your mind silent is more important than keeping your mouth shut. because mind is bigger trouble. So that is maunam, atma vinigraha, also self-control. See, again you will tell, self-control is a property of the body. Like brahmacharya himself, no, he says property of the mind, because mind controls the senses. The key is here, the trigger is here. So control the mind, that says. Bhava samshuddhihi, purification of your thoughts. I told you the Master of the Mind series, classify your thoughts, tāmasic, rājasic, sāttvic, and slowly start discarding tāmasic thoughts, replacing rājasic with sāttvic thoughts, and only contain sāttvic thoughts till you reach a state where they are thoughtless state, where only God thinks through you. You don't know what you are thinking. God works through you. So that is the stage. Bhava samshuddhihi iti etat tapo manasamuchyate. These are the tapas of the mind. 17th shloka, Shraddhaya parya taptam tapas tat trividham naraihi aphala kankshibhir yuktaihi sāttvikam parichakshate. It says those people who are sattvic, what are the kind of things they do? What kind of tapas they do? Shraddhaya parma. They have supreme faith in good things, happy things, nice things. And in these three ways, generally people do tapas. That is body tapas, mind tapas, and tongue tapas. So these are the tapas that everybody should do, and good people do with great supreme faith in why they should do this. And aphala kangshihi bhi. So they don't have any desire for it, any reason. Why should they do it? Because I'll get praised as a good boy, I'll get an award of excellence. Nothing they have in their mind. They just do it because that is what is supposed to be done. Then yuktaihi, they are perfected in that tapas. They have practiced it. They are engaged in it continuously. Sattvikam, these are the sattvic people. Then satkara mana pujartham tapo dambhena chaivaya. Those who do it for the sake of praise, satkara, and mana, for somebody should see it and then praise them for their own personal status. And then for that sake, if they do puja, then that tapa is full of arrogance. That kind of austerity is of no use. And then kriyate tadeham proktam rājasam. Those people who do that kind of tapas for showing off, for telling others that I am superior, I have written 1 lakh times Sairam, Sairam. How many times have you written? These kind of people have no use. They are just for show and exhibition, and this only increases their ego and pride. These are the rājasic tapas people. So of the three kinds of tapas, purest tapas is what? When you have no desire for anything, you do it for the sake of doing it with great shraddha in it. Rājasi tapas is what? That which you do for show off. And chalam, these kind of tapas result is also temporary. Adruvam, that does not last. So that is the thing. And these kind of tapas are called rājasi tapas. Once a Swamiji had learned how to walk on water, it seems. So he was crossing the river Ganga and was coming to Sri Ramakrishna Paramsa's ashram, where he was preaching his disciples. So he walked on the water and came. And Sri Ramakrishna was busy, engaged in talking. He didn't pay attention. So this man felt humiliated. He said, did you see I came walking on the water? And Sri Ramakrishna, is it so? How did you do that? No, I have practiced it for 25 years and I have learned how to become so light that I can walk on water. He said, 25 years you spent for walking on water? You could have given 25 paisa to the boatman, he would have brought it this side. Brought you this side without, what a waste. These people are show off. They do it only to impress people and get some siddhis and all kinds of stupid things. They have no idea of loka kalyanam or betterment of others or their own self-improvement. Then third kind of tapas also should be there, tamas tapas. Muda grahena atmano yat pidaya kriyate tapaha. These are foolish people who have foolish ideas about what tapas is. I will not eat for 3 days and Swami will talk to me. No, doctor will talk to you. Because you will have trouble with your stomach. Yat pidaya. They torture themselves and torture others also. Parasyot sadhanartham va. Also they do this tapas to harm others. I said, no, those black magic and things like that. They do it to harm others. They don't want anything out of it. They can't gain anything out of it, but they want to harm others. That is the kind of mentality these people have. And that is tamas tapa udaharitam. This is the tamas tap. Those who do austerities for the sake of harming others, or they harm themselves also in the process of gaining something which is driven by some foolish ideas that this is how I can please God and get some powers and things like that. This is absolute foolishness. In fact, I do not encourage this kind of tapas which tortures your body, which makes it difficult for you. Don't. Body is God's instrument. Use it well. Don't starve it. Don't torture it. Don't torture your mind also. And don't torture others around you. How can God be happy if you are harming everybody around you? I don't like it. Our villages also, a lot of superstition, these kind of sacrifices, I don't appreciate at all. When some people say, what about walking all the way to climbing hills to see God and walking? No, walk with joy, chanting the name of God, and that is your thing. But it is to purify you, it is to align you, like 40 days people walk. Even in other religions, they fast for 40 days. This is one way of purifying yourself. They abstain from a lot of worldly activities. This is to prepare yourself for something better. But that does not mean if it's uncomfortable for you, if it is not good for your health, if it is going to be burden on others around you, let us not do this kind of tapas. I am getting into Chaturmasyam. Now every month I need this food. Whole world has to run around and cook for you. Whole world has to do everything that to satisfy your tapas. Let us not torture people. That is the idea of tāmasic tapas. Don't do that. Then dātavyam. Now come to dana. We have finished ahara. Then we have finished yajna. We finished tapa. And now we have come to dana. Dātavyam iti yaddanam diyate anupakarine. Those who give things which are to be given. Somebody is hungry, you don't calculate, you give because it is to be given. They don't have any other idea why they are giving. They will be recognized, appreciated, nothing. Yaddanam, what needs to be given, they have to give because that is a part of their duty. That is how it should be done. Diyate anupakaranam, and why they give without any expectation that I will get something when I give this. I'll get something in return. They have no such ideas. Also, deshe kale cha patre cha taddanam sāttvikam smritam. And desha kala and patra. Desha means which place you are giving that dana. Kala, what time you are giving that dana. And patra, whether the person is eligible or deserving of that dana. All these they check and then they give. This is a sāttvika danam. This is the right, pure, auspicious way of doing charity. See, charity is a great virtue. It's there, praised in all religions. Even Bhagavad Gita especially mentioning charity. Because without charity, what happens? Everybody is not born equal. Everybody does not get equal opportunities in life. Everybody doesn't get equal, opportunity or equal intelligence or equal abilities. They're all different. So at that time, we have to, somebody who has more of it has to share it with others. It's important. Then only society can be healthy and happy society. Otherwise, it will be always having deprivation. That's why haves and have not, the disparities. It is not good for us. So they say we have to give because that is what needs to be done with this attitude without expecting anything in return and by giving it at the right time, right place to the right person. These are the sattvic way of giving charity. It doesn't mean charity means you have more money, just throw it. Suppose that fellow drinks with your money, you will get karma out of it. You give wrong dhanam, you will get karma out of it. And desha kala you have to see where you are giving. All people should watch on the stage, everybody should clap. That is not the right desha. Do it silently, nobody should know you did it. And kala, what time? When the necessity is there, that time. When the fellow is hungry today, come tomorrow, I will feed you. It's not dhanam at all. So this is the kind. Why will feed you? Because all the food that nobody eats by a night will be available to give dana. Or these clothes don't fit me. These have faded away. That shoe does not fit me anymore. They find reasons to give. Or I have to clean my cupboard so that I can buy new clothes. These are old model, old fashioned. This kind of dana is not good. So these right kind of people think of all these things and do dana. Then what about rājasi danas? Yattu pratyupakarartham. Those who give because they want something in return. That's why they give. Phalam uddishya vapuno. Some result should come out of it. At least my name should be put up over there. Big words. This person has given donation. Remember that fan donation story I tell? Somebody donated a fan for a temple and wrote whole Kandan's name on every blade. My father, grandfather, wife, children, grandchildren. And then when the temple puja was going on, it was so hot. So some child started crying. So mother said, please somebody switch on the fan. It's so hot over here. And the moment anybody got up to switch the fan on, this person would get up and stop him saying, don't do that because if it starts rotating, they can't read my name on the blades. What use is such dhanam? What's the point in giving such dhanam? That is rājasa. They don't give it because they want to give. They want to give it because they will be known as donors or charitable people. Diyate cha pariklishtam. And also when they give with great hesitation and great sorrow. They are troubled by giving. Ask them that you give some dana, that is, they'll get their BP will go up. Ayo, they're asking dhanam from me. So, and Vani people are very, very clever. They will announce of big things like politicians. Big dhanam they'll announce, but later they won't follow up. They won't complete it. All these kind of rājasi danas people do. Third is adesha kale yad danam apatre abhyascha diyate. When you give dana at the wrong place, at the wrong time, to the wrong person, asat Kritam avagyatam, without having proper understanding, doing it in the wrong way, without understanding of why you are doing, why you should not be doing, that is a tamasa danam udahritam. That tamasam udahritam, that is said to be tamas dana. They are so lazy, they don't even want to find out what is the need, why it should be given. If something is there, given. What kind of danam they'll give? Asad danam, not good things. Useless coins, torn notes, which other person cannot even use. They want to get rid of their things. These tamasic people give dana like this. Also at the wrong place they give dhanam, in the sense they want to give dhanam only when they are being praised or seen or known and things like that. So this kind of dana we should not do. So Krishna is saying dhanam is important to lead a pure life. But what kind of dhanam where there is no expectation of any return? You give it to the right person, right place at the right time. If you go back and read our Taittiriya Upanishad in Shishyanushāsanam, there it comes, the teacher tells this to that Shraddhaya deyam, Ashraddhaya adeyam, Shriya deyam, Biya deyam, Hriya deyam, Samvida deyam. Give it Shraddha. Don't give if you don't have Shraddha. Don't have interest, don't give. Rather, don't give. Then give with all the terrible face that you make and give. The other fellow feels terrible about it. Don't make somebody feel bad that they're receiving from you. Give it in a way the other person feels good too. Ashraddhaya adeyam, Shriya deyam. Give in abundance, for it may not be sufficient to for the other person. Give enough, not less. Bhiya deyam. Give it the fear that I have not given enough and that may not be useful to the other person. Hriya deyam. Give it humility. Give it humility, not with ego and arrogance. Samvidadhyam, give it the knowledge of whom you are giving. When I was in Hyderabad, people asked me, what is this dhanam that you are doing, all this, giving free education, health, nutrition? Do you know whether they deserve it or not? I said, yes, we very much know. We go house to house, door to door to find out of which students we should select, whom we should pay for, whom should we sponsor. Great effort is put. Before, when the Marial Narayan scholarship scheme was announced, some people were given complete scholarship. At that point in time, we had interviews, They didn't have this door-to-door investigation. So we just announced in a newspaper and people came in hordes. So when they came, interview was going on. So they used to take, I told, interviews should be taken separately for the child and the parents. So truth will come out. When the parents were called for interview, they will tell, we don't have anything, we have no income, we are so poor, this and that. We deserve this scholarship. And the child is called, what is at home? We have a bike, 2-acre land, 1 TV, 1 refrigerator. So people misuse dhanam. That's why you have to know whom you are giving and why you are giving. You have to do a lot of research. So this research we do. That is what I told the people in Hyderabad. Those are corporate people who were asking me questions. And then about hospital, they tell me, why don't you charge at least those who can afford and not and give it free to those who can't? I said 80-85% of our patients come from families which earn only 10,000 to 12,000 rupees a month. Such a person, if he gets a heart problem, which will cost you 5 lakh rupees to get operated, what can I ask that person? Out of your 10,000 rupees, pay me 1,000 rupees, 2,000 rupees for the next 20 years. What do I ask that person? How will he even pay? Most of our patients come from such poor backgrounds that there is no reason I should even ask him. If 10-15% people can afford it, if their heart moves, they will also offer. I have seen a lot of people even in our hospitals. If they don't have money, they want to do seva. Shramadana they do. If nothing else is there, they offer what they have, like farm produce, vegetables and things like that. Even whatever little money, sometimes they want to donate to some patients whose heart is moved. But when we give, we don't give with this idea that we should get something in return. That is not our agenda. So this is how we do dana, and our institutions are the best example of doing dana charity. Our institutions are the best example of yajna, ahara, I already explained. Yajna, best examples, how we perform our duties. 3, tapa. All these tapas, whatever has been asked, we perform. Dana also, we do it in the right place. If you want to know how to do these things, look no further, just look around you. And you will know these institutions are doing all these things right. We are practicing Bhagavad Gita in letter and spirit. Now after this, suddenly Sri Krishna changes the mode, saying that while you do all these 4 things, do with this right kind of a attitude. And that attitude he explains and talks about Brahman, how you should remember God before doing any of these things, before eating, before doing any action, before performing austerities or before doing charity. Do this first. What should you do? Om tat sat iti nirdesho brahmanas trividhi smritaha. That Brahman, that God, that supreme divinity has been recognized with 3 words, in 3 ways. What are the 3 things? Om tat sat. Om, we all know, Omkaram. Tat means that. When you have to describe God, you can't describe as a man or a woman or tall, old, young. The only word is a neutral word used is that. That is God. Because we can't call it by any gender or any particular caste or any qualifications. So that is why tat. And then iti, tat sat. Third is sat. Sat means truth, eternity, real. Which does not change, which does not diminish, which does not decline. It is always there. That is called sat. So these are the three words with which God is recognized in our scriptures. Om tat sat. We chant no Om tat sat Shri Narayanatu. That is our prayer. Bhave Virumbhave written that prayer. Om tat sat. So Om tat sat. Even our Veda Gurukulam's motto is Om tat sat. Because it's a perfect way of remembering God. That is what Krishna is saying. Brahman is remembered with these three indicators, Om, Tat and Sat. And Brahmanas tena Vedascha Yajnascha Vihitaha Puraha. And from this only came all the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, all the beings. Yajnas were performed, or Yajnas originated from this very Brahman, and Vedas have originated from this very Brahman right from the beginning. Therefore use Om Tat Sat as your mantra before doing anything. Krishna is advising us like that. I just want to elaborate a little bit on the Om part of it. This Om is one of the most beautiful indicator of Brahman. Of all the faiths, philosophies, religions, Sanatana Dharma has got the perfect representation of Brahman in Om. And this has been described in any number of scriptures, in our Upanishads and things like that. In fact, if you see, Om is a that is how Om is divided into three parts. And if you go into the Mundaka Upanishad, it says, Mandukya Upanishad, it says, A is the Jagriti, the waking state, the wakeful state. U represents the dream state, and represents the deep sleep state, and the silence which comes after that, that is the fourth state, which is the Brahman consciousness. So when you chant, also if you see from all our speaking point of view, open your mouth, your sound comes from then U goes through the mouth, and it closes. So the entire system is utilized while chanting Om. Is the beginning, middle, and end of everything, as they say. Brahman is like that. So Om, when you chant, I have taught also Om chanting should start from the navel. That first sound should come from this navel, should travel through your throat in U and close in your mouth, and then it should reverberate in your head, that sound for some time. And then after that you should observe silence. There is no great hurry to chant Om, like that. When you chant Om, the silence also has to be observed, because in that silence is that consciousness Brahman. Om. This silence is when you realize this is your true nature. On this silence only all sounds manifest. And they thrive on this silence, and they again merge back in the silence. That is the idea of God. Everything originates, sustained by it, and ultimately goes back into it. So everything is come out of silence, stays in silence, and goes back into silence. That is why silence has to be observed, the fourth one. If you go to the Mandukya Upanishad, very beautiful description is there. But Jagrita Sthano Vaishwanaro. In the Jagrita Avastha, the A part of it is called Vaishwanara, all-knowing. Then Swapna Sthan Taijasa Ukaro Dvitiya. The second one, Dvitiya, is Ukara, which is Swapna Sthana. It is in the dream state. It represents the dream state. And Sushupta Sthana Pragnyo Makaras Tritiya. The third one, Makara, is the Sushupti, in the deep sleep state. But beyond that, it says, very beautiful description of Brahman comes, Na anta prajna na bahish prajna no bhayataha. That one, the fourth one, is neither the external consciousness nor the internal consciousness. Neither it is conscious nor it is unconscious. All paradoxes means we are talking about Advaita Brahman. Beautiful description. Adrishtam, avyavaharam, agrahyam, alakshanam, achintyam, avyadeshyam, ekatma pratyasaram, prapanchoposhamam, Shantam Shivam Advaitam Chaturtham Manyate Sa Atma Savijñeyaha. Mandukya Upanishad says, know that fourth one, which is there in all the three, yet it is not seen. Like the screen is there all the time, but it's not seen, the pictures are seen. Silence is there all the time. Even when I'm speaking on the background of silence. If there is no silence, the background sound cannot be heard. So that is the like silence which cannot be heard, but it is the reason why everything is heard. Like that, this divinity is very beautiful. Mandukya Upanishad you should read. It's the shortest Upanishad of only 12 shlokas, verses, but it is the most powerful Upanishad. On that, Gaudapada has written a Karika, a commentary of 250 verses on a 12 shloka Mandukya Upanishad. In fact, it seems Hanumanji asked Rama, tell me one Upanishad, I can't read all the things. Tell me one thing that I can read and know Brahman. And Sri Rama advised Hanuman, read Mandukya Upanishad. And it starts with Om. It tells Om is that Brahman, Om is the Aksharam, Om is everything. And then goes on describing Om in this way. Similarly, in Kathopanishad also, our Yama says about Om. He says, Sarva Veda yat padamamananti, tapamsi sarvani cha yadvadanti, yadichanto brahmacharyam charanti, tatte padam sangrahena bhavimi, Om ityeta. Let me tell you in a short way, in a brief way, that ultimate truth for which sake all the people do everything, tapa, japa, dhyana, veda. That is called Om, he says. He says, Etavalambanam cheshtam. Using Om to reach the Brahman is the best way to reach Brahman. Etavalambanam param, the best way and the highest way is this Om. Etavalambanam gyatva brahmaloke mahiyate. When you know, understand this Om, you reach Brahmaloka. You understand Brahman. Remember that silence part of it, how powerful that silence is? Beyond the sound, that silence exists. Represents I am awake. U, in the dream, when the mind alone is awake. When mind also goes asleep, what remains is that silence, the fourth, consciousness. This practice of Om should be there. I don't know how many people are chanting Om like this. And when they wake up, anytime. And Om you can chant at all times. There is no muhurtam for that. So I will not get into more details about Om, but I wanted to explain that how powerful is this Om, how well it represents all existence. And ultimately that very Brahman, which is beyond all the existence, yet it sustains, creates and dissolves all the existence. That is what is Om. Of course, Tat, as I said, that, because we cannot see it, we can only mention. If you want to ask me, where is that person, or where is the moon, or what is moon, I have to show a finger and say, that is moon, who has never seen. So that it is said. And that is what? Sat. Sat means which is always there. It is never gone. It is always there. Our bodies come and go, minds change, emotions change, understandings change. Our awareness also changes when we are sleeping or awake or dreaming. But that does not change. So it is called that in our scriptures. And that is Sat. Sat is truth which is indestructible. Then Shri Krishna says, Tasmat Om iti udaharita yajnadana tapakriyaha pravartante vidhanoktaha satam brahmavadinam. Those who are seekers of Brahman or knowers of Brahman, always, as per the scriptural norms, they chant Om and then they do yajna, dana, tapa and all the other activities. They start with Om. That's why in our all verses we chant, we start with Om. Every mantra starts with Om. Because Om itself is like when I call your name, will you not become alert? Suppose I call name, this Srinivas is there. Srinivas, if I say, he'll become aware, he'll become alert. Like that, when I chant Om, that Brahman in us becomes alert. I am being called, I am being remembered. He energizes all our thought, word and action. Because we have invoked that Brahman in us by chanting Om. That's why Om is so important as a mantra. And all people who are seekers or knowers of Brahman constantly chant Om only and start or do anything. This is how you have to remember God before doing any of Yajna, Dana, Tapa, Ahara. Everything you have to chant, start with Om. And that one remembrance of God before doing all these things purifies it. Add a piece of alum to dirty water, immediately it purifies the water. Add a tulsi leaf to a food, it becomes Naivedyam. Like that, it purifies your every thought, word and action if you chant Om and start your activities. It can be chanted anywhere, anytime. Then Krishna says, Tad iti anabhisandhaya. Tat means that. By remembering that without any desires, anabhisandhaya, without any expectation of phalam, yajna tapa kriyaha, the one who does yajna tapa, remembering that. And dana kriyascha vividaha kriyante moksha kankshibhi. Those who desire moksha, they remember that and they do everything else. How do they start? They chant Om and start their activities. And they remember that. That is Brahman. And offer everything that they are doing to that. So when you do that, it becomes a Naivedyam. What you receive in return is prasadam. So everything gets purified. Your ego dissolves. Because Kenopanishad says, no, who is the one who is thinking through us, talking through us, listening through us, speaking through us? Kene shitam pratitam peshitam manaha. The question it asks, who is there behind us? So when you remember that and start your activities. Where is the question of ego? You think you are breathing, you are making your heart beat, you are making your food get digested. Are you even capable of making yourself listen or not listen? Everything is controlled by that. And that is what is God, and you have to remember that. Chakshuscha chakshu is eye of the eye, shrotrasya shrotraha, ear of the ear. Knowing that if you start your work, where is the question of any ego? If there is no ego, there is no doership, there is no enjoyership, there is no karma phala. You are free. You can do as much as work you want and you are never bound by it. So this is the beauty of remembering God. Yad josh, yad karosh, yad ashnasi dasiyat, yad tapasisi kaunteya, tat kurushu madarpadam. Offer it to God. By remembering tat, we offer it to God. Then last shlokas are sadbhave sadhubhave cha sat itye tat prayujyate. Sat is the sadhu bhava or sadbhava. The good feeling, the noble feelings are represented by the word sat, like sat karma, sat karya, sat sangha. Everything, when you add sat to it, it represents nobility, auspiciousness, goodness, saintliness, and things like that. Prashaste karmani tatha sat shabda partha ujyate. Therefore, those who are engaged in auspicious work, those auspicious works are known by the word sat. Because like satsanga, you could have had a sangha. Sangha means getting together or joining company, somebody's company. But you are having satsanga, you are joining this company for a good reason, for an auspicious reason. That's why it's called satsanga. So sat is that word which represents auspiciousness. Yagne tapasi dane cha sthiti saditi uchyate. The one who is established in this yajna, tapa and dana, such a person is also known as sat only. He is a sat guru. He is a sat jana, sajjana. That is how we say. Why? Because such a person is established, perfected the art of or the work like yajna, tapa and dana. These are so important. Ahara is included. So this is what it means. Those people are having a a prefix called sat, or rather they are defined by this word sat because that is divine quality. Karma chaiva tadarthiyam sat ityeva vidhiyate. Even whatever actions they perform, for whose sake? For that sake. For Om's sake, for the Brahman's sake. So their actions are also sat only. That is how it is known. The sat word is representation of purity, auspiciousness, goodness, divinity. All those who are like that as humans, as people, all their actions and all their yajna, dana, tapa, all things are represented by this word called sat. So Om Tat Sat is a Maha Mantra that way. Whenever we chant that, we remember what? Om represents the Supreme Brahman. Tat, that, we remember and offer our activities. And Sat, when we do that, we become that. Brahma Veda Brahma Iva Bhavati. Once you know that, you become that. So knower, known, and the knowledge all become one. The doer, doing, and the done all become one for Sat people. Sat people are like that. So this is the idea of how you can purify your, starting with your Shraddha. And Shraddha can be purified by purifying your food to begin with. Whatever you see, hear, taste, touch, smell, eat, everything should be purer. That's why I don't appreciate too much of, I'm not saying vegetarian, non-vegetarian, but you are already knowing the category of foods. You only classify them. In fact, in food I always tell, whatever comes from the sky is the best food. It means a fruit that falls on its own after the birds have eaten, and ripe fruit. Whatever grows under the earth, whatever grows above the earth is the second better food, like grains, pulses, and anything else that grows, soppu and things like that. Whatever grows under the earth is the tāmasic food, like potatoes and your other roots and tubers, they are tāmasic. And whatever moves should not be eaten at all. Whatever comes from the sky, pure rain, water, or the fruits that fall on their own after the birds have eaten. That is what sannyasis take. And those which grow above earth, which are grains and things like that, that is taken by the second level of people, which is kind of rājasic food, which is taken by, let's say, vanaprasthis take. Whatever grows under the earth, people worldly, desirous of things in the world. That way they are very worldly people. They eat tāmasic foods, which come from. And whatever moves, only Rakshasas eat. Humans don't eat that. Only Rakshasas are made to eat moving things, Humans are not made to eat. Then you will say, but when we were hunters, gatherers, we used to eat everything, including each other. Then what happens? I said, that time you were not wearing shirt and pant and living inside the houses. If you're willing to go back to caves and roam around the way you did, you can eat whatever you want. Everything else has changed in our life, but we don't want to change our food habits. Isn't it hypocrisy? Everything we have changed. We use mobile phones, we don't write letters anymore. We wear stitched clothes, we don't wrap our leaves and bark around us. We don't live in caves, we live in posh houses. We don't walk, we go in vehicles. All the things have changed, but our food habits, we still want to eat things which are moving. And like hunter-gatherers of the past. That's not fair, that's not right. Every week 2 billion animals are killed to feed 6 billion people on earth. Every week. And the carbon footprint because of animal farming, it's more than 50% of the total carbon footprint in the world, from vehicles, industries and everything else. The carbon dioxide emission from farms, animal farms is much more than 50%. And that is so harmful to the environment. If you tell me, people tell, let's cut down on the use of coal, let's cut down on use of fossil fuels like oil and gas and things like that, or let's start carpooling, let's start walking and bicycling. I tell them, all this you do on one side and stop eating moving things on the other side, it will have equal impact. Which is easier? Our Krishna says, rasopi rasa varjasya. Though not only the eating, the taste to the tongue, the taste to the mind also should disappear. No? That craving should disappear. That is how we should develop spiritually. Anta. This is the idea. And the final shloka. Ashtradaya hutam dattam tapas taptam kritam chayat asat iti uchyate partha nacha tatpretya noiha. So naturally those who do not do all these things in the right way, it is called as asat. Asat means not real, not truth, not divine. So all the activities, dhanam, tapam, or whatever, yajnam, all these are asat only. It's useless, it is fruitless. And what happens? They don't achieve anything here in this world nor in the other world. They think they will do something in this world and live in heaven like Vajashrava, Nachiketa's father. He was giving away cows which were old and can't eat and can't give milk in the name of charity. The tamodanam it has, wrong danam. And then Nachiketa questions him, why are you doing this? He wanted to go to heaven and perform the yajna and go to heaven. But will he go to heaven with this yajna? No, he'll only go to hell. So that is why Nachiketa questions him and he gets so angry because you can't advise foolish people. He tells Nachiketa, I give you to Yama, go to death. So this is the kind of people they are. And Nachiketa says, Anupashya yatha purve, pratipashya tatha pare, satyamiva martya pachyate, satyamiva ajayate punaha. Remember what people have done before you. Look at what people are doing around you. And understand what is right, what is wrong. Because we are born like a field of corn and we are harvested the next day. Our life is so temporary. Why are you giving these kind of cows with such temporary means? How can you attain permanent peace and happiness? So this is the idea. When we do dhanam, do it with right attitude. When you do any action, do it with remembrance of God, by God, for God, like our democracy. Of the people, for the people, by the people. This is also of God. Why? Om. For God, Tat. By God, Sat. He only is doing everything through us. For whose sake? For His sake. So it's for God, by God, of God. All our activities should become like that. Then you would have truly practiced the 17th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, which is the stepping stone to purifying our gunas, thereby influencing our Shraddha. And through Shraddha, we can attain anything. The jnana can be attained. That is the ultimate purpose of Bhagavad Gita. With this, we close this chapter. We will be entering the 18th and the last chapter of Bhagavad Gita after a day. Meanwhile, when you go back, you have to do Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam. Luckily, our institution does not allow you opportunity not to practice. You have to put real efforts not to practice all these things because everything has been designed in such a way that you end up practicing this kind of ahara tapa or yajna tapa or mano tapa, sharira tapa, mana tapa. All these you are able to practice because of the opportunity that is at your disposal. Please make best use of this opportunity because if it is lost, it will not come back again.